Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is Smitty here. This is basically just a little history right here we're gonna go over. This is basically just talking about the essence of the competition. You know what I'm saying? That's truly been lacking from EA. And as you look at these different titles, a lot of people are gonna remember these games back then. From the yesteryear. This was the era where the competition was fierce and you had a massive variety for the consumer. So in order for your game to stand out amongst the whole entire pack, you really had to give 110% effort in terms of the game that you put out there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, Madden was one of the first games to hit on a mainstream console, that being the Sega Genesis in 1988, and the game wasn't licensed initially. You know what I'm saying? It initially didn't have an NFL license until the 18, I mean, until like night, until the next year, the following year. But you had many games that were in this era and time where the competition was truly, like I said, it was truly diverse. You had a mixed bag. You had the Tecmo Bowl. You had games like John Elway quarterback, Joe Montana football. You know what I'm saying? You had games that made completely different and new innovations. Like Joe Montana had the actual commentary, the sports talk football. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it just didn't give you the gimmicks, but it gave you the gameplay to go along with it. And as the years had progressed and as the consoles had evolved, the gameplay evolved as well. You know what I'm saying? No one could sit on their hands if they truly were trying to compete. That's why you had a lot of football games come out, but only a few really stuck. You know what I'm saying? That mainly being the and Sega titles, and then EA, of course, with their Madden, and even when they introduced the collegiate football, you know what I mean? They couldn't just be a slouch about it. They put their best efforts out there every single year. You know what I mean? Every single year. Now, were there some titles, some years was better than others? Yes, that's very true. But the gameplay, like I said, the gameplay at its essence was beautiful. It was dynamic and it was unique considering the consoles, considering the generation. You know what I mean? As systems evolved, like I said, you went from Nintendo, Genesis to Super Nintendo, uh, Sega CD, 3D, 3DO, 32X, Atari Jaguar, and all that good stuff. All those different systems that came out as they progressed. When we're talking about these football titles here, they had all took a step in terms of becoming great, and then you had those titles that stuck out. When Madden got on top, they kept making new innovations. They bring in the Fox Sports presentation. They bring in the commentary. They had the injury reports. They made all these different innovations. The injury cart coming on the field. All those features, but the gameplay was still solid. You know what I mean? Like if you played in the snow, players would slip and fall and everything, even though it was only 16-bit at the time. Still, those are all innovations and those are all paying respect to the gameplay. And then you had the blossom of other franchises. You had the Quarterback Club. You had that series go on, and that went on for a decent number of years, spanning from the Super Nintendo Genesis era up to onto the PlayStation 2 era. You know what I'm saying? Briefly into that, but like I said, when you had the market competition out there, you had to do everything that you needed to do to stand up and be the best. You couldn't just go off of your name alone. You know what I mean? EA couldn't just go and say, well, we're EA Sports, it's in the game, and that's it. They couldn't just do that. They had to put their best foot forward every single year, because they had, like I said, they had Sega riding their heels. They had, Sony coming to the mix when PlayStation came around with the Game Day series. They had Acclaim come out with the Quarterback Club series. You know what I mean? And you had the choices every single year. You had multiple college football games, multiple professional football games. You know what I'm saying? Every year. So um, these people, EA couldn't be a slouch. You know what I mean? They couldn't afford it. And then especially, like you look at these games, and especially when it came to the first true next gen console to come out, that being Sega, when they came out with the NFL 2K. And we all know that NFL 2K was something that was truly amazing, something that was completely dynamic, never before seen. Gameplay, player movements, animations, presentation, all that. It was something completely unprecedented. But yet and still, Madden came out and they put the best effort forward they could, considering that the platforms they were coming out on was the Sega Saturn and the Sony PlayStation. And even though they graphically were not completely there yet, they still gameplay wise brought forth their best effort. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it was fully respected because once again, like I said, with 2K being the 2K being the new benchmark, you know what I'm saying? EA had to truly bring it when they had their shot coming up on the next generation consoles, in which they did when it came to the Madden 2001 releasing on the PlayStation 2. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, those guys, and like I said, it was a great game. It was a great game. They made a conscious effort, and it was a really good title. I really enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, they started off there, and they took off like a rocket. They kept it going. You know what I'm saying? They kept it going on that second generation, that PlayStation 2 Xbox era. Dreamcast was around for a little bit, but still the fact of the matter is EA had to say, okay, you know what? They got the graphics and everything, and they're making their innovations in stride. We're going to keep our top spot, you know what I'm saying, by giving the gameplay, also by hitting them with new features every year. You know what I mean? And the thing is, they kept on doing it until they got to 2005, because 2K, honestly, they were on their way to truly taking over, and truly taking over that top spot to reign supreme. They were just about there. They were just about there. But when you seen what happened when EA came out and bought the rights, they sat on their hands. And now you can see why when it comes to both the college and the professional games, they're not making that much of a conscious effort no more. You see what I'm saying? So that's why when you see people like myself, Moody, Rosales, NYE, PH1, Mr. 414, Apex is free, you know what I'm saying? Barney Fife, Ronan, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's like 360 beats or what have you, when you see us out here and we're doing these vids and everything, and we're doing our commentaries and all that stuff, and we're talking about these games and talking about these issues, you know what I'm saying? We're doing this for a reason, because we know that these games back in a different era put out quality efforts. They just didn't sit on their hands. EA was never known for doing that, but as soon as they bought the rights out, they completely quit. They kicked their legs up and they just talked to the PR guys, and they put a great presentation. They talk a very slick game, but they're not putting forth the quality efforts. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, that's why these games are coming out. These efforts are mediocre. You know what I'm saying? They are very mediocre compared to what they did back on PS2 and Xbox. You know what I'm saying? People like Azure Effect, Bush Doctor 02, Sim Football Critic, guys like that, they put out the quality vids just to showcase, these guys can do better than that. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I look at what Versus did, and I appreciate what he did with the sliders and everything. But these games from '05 and below, it was easy, medium, and hard. You didn't need to adjust sliders just to make the game playable, just to make the game edible enough to play. You see what I'm saying? You could just pop the game in and play it. You adjusted sliders to make the game more of a challenge for yourself and make the gameplay more realistic, and that was mainly it. So on that note, I'm saying, this is your boy Smitty. Just wanted to put that out there, what I'm saying, so just see what I'm talking about. EA has got to definitely step it up, and yeah, that's basically it. So, holla back.